journalist. I met him, what was this, a couple of years ago?
Well, it's got be a lot more than a couple of years ago.
And his story completely fascinated me. In fact, he was the first interview I did for a feature story in our magazine, the Millionaire Mindset magazine, which is now, we're transitioning to a fully digital magazine. But also, it happens to be that he's also the first of this new show we're launching, Walker Corporation and Future Stars Media Enterprise. And so, Mr. Mayor, I thank you for coming.
Congratulations, I love your studio, and thank you very much for the opportunity to chat with you.
Tell me, what is going on with Joshua in terms of, given the background of COVID, and do you think there's a new world emerging, or are we in a crisis, or are we in a state of, things falling apart or chaos?
So the reality being is we're in a historical moment right now. I think you would probably agree with that too. I don't think anybody has ever faced this. The last time we faced anything like this is 1918. And at that time, the advances in medicine weren't what they are today. The last year has really taught us a great deal about, are we prepared? What does this new world look like? And by the way, it's reminded us of the important things in our lives. In my opinion, I miss things like this. I miss going to the bookstore. I miss going to a coffee shop. I miss just having the opportunity to be able to hug my friends. You can't do that. So the reality is we have to understand we are in a historical moment. What we do with this historical moment is we better learn what we've learned throughout this 4 years. So not only on the personal side about what we missed, but what do we need to do as a country, as a province, and as a city to be able to prepare? Because many of the experts, as you know, are saying that this will not be the last time we face a pandemic. So we better make sure that we do everything we possibly can to prepare. So really, in my opinion, I think that it's going to bring the best of us out. It's also going to challenge all of us, and I think that what we're seeing from the public is they're frustrated. Their anxiety is high. They, in some circumstances, lost their job. Their partners lost their job. There's financial insecurity. They don't know what the future looks like. They're worried about their kids, and on top of that, they don't know if we properly address the issues that we should have been prepared for. Why didn't we have PPE available? Why do we have to depend on other countries for vaccines? What happened in our medical system? All of these kind of things are going to be answered by leaders like myself. And the good thing about it is that I think this is going to have to either bring the best of us out, or it's going to bring us down. So I think it's going to help us.
So for this city Oshawa, if I may mention two things. One is, in the 1980s, Oshawa played a huge role in the transition from the old agricultural society into the new industrial age with Robert McLaughlin's car plant, which was GM. It was a huge industry in Oshawa for 50 to 60 years.
Yes.
Do you see that kind of thing happening now, where I know there is an electric plant coming to the GM factory in the southern of Oshawa, but during this pandemic, we've seen Oshawa kind of have, if you may excuse me, kind of a dysfunction. Whereas the downtown core, there are instead cities and a lot of drug addicts and alcoholics, and people literally fell through the cracks by the droves. Like a lot of downtown, a lot of owners and business people, owners of restaurants and businesses and stuff, they were scared. They were complaining. But on the other hand, you have the northern of Oshawa, this huge mega projects going on, even downtown, big development going on. And as mayor, especially this Dan Carter's life is interesting because he came from a life of, he was once a drug addict and homeless and alcoholic, and turned his life around. So you know that world.
Yes.
You've experienced it.
Yes.
And one day I want to tell you a story on the show as well. But how do you reconcile the social situation in downtown Oshawa with the economic progress that you've been able to get done under your leadership?
So let's take the hardest issue first, which is individuals that are unsheltered, those that are dealing with addiction or mental health. You know this better probably than I. Close to 5,000 Canadians have died from opioid overdose each and every year for many years now. And I've asked the federal and provincial government that we have to have a national health crisis because the opiate crisis is taking so many lives. it has affected more and more Canadians from coast to coast. Throughout the pandemic, we have seen every city across Canada see an increase in unsheltered individuals, severe mental health, and severe addiction. Oshawa is like all other cities across Canada. We've got our issues that we're seeing. We've got individuals that are coming from as far west as Hamilton, as high up as Minden, and as far east as Trent and Ottawa, matter of fact. So we've seen an influx of them. They're coming to Oshawa.
Why is it?
Well, one is we have services, and two is what happens is migration happens. So people are always on the move to look for services. They may have an event that happened in where they were, which could be an encounter with someone else. They start to migrate into different areas. They try and find where they can get services and where they can survive. They're hunter-gatherers, like think of it that way. So you keep on moving through the system. So one is, our downtown did see, in the early days of the COVID, saw a lot of incidents that were related to mental health, addiction, and criminal behavior. So over the past year, we've worked with Durham Regional Police, we've had outreach teams out on the street, we've established a hub, we've got housing that we've invested in. As a matter of fact, our housing investment is over $20 million as a region that we put forward. We've housed over 110 individuals from September last year until now that are chronically homeless. That means somebody that has been unsheltered for 6 months or more. We've already housed 110 individuals. No, this is we've got people into supportive environments. So that could be in an RGI unit, it could be in supportive housing, or it could be in independent housing with wraparound services. So we continue to be able to do that. We're seeing huge progress in regards to the police making arrests of individuals that are criminals. I have said loud and clear, you know my background, I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict, but the one thing I'm not going to tolerate is criminality in our city. So we've got the Durham Regional Police have been very active in regards to doing drug busts, making sure that people are arrested for criminal behavior, because the businesses and the citizens have to feel safe in their own community, and I'm not going to tolerate lawlessness in our city. That's not fair. I'll go to the end to help you. But if you break the law, if you break into a business, if you rob somebody, if you sell your poison on our streets, I'm not gonna tolerate it. So the downtown, as you said, we saw a lot of that influx in the early days of it. What we've done over the last 6 to 8 months is we're slowly making huge progress. We have a long way to go. These are complex issues that every city is facing, but we seem to be able to say to ourselves, okay, so if we provide housing, supported services, outreach teams, make sure that we work with our police teams, make sure that our businesses feel supported, and you probably know this, that I set up the mayor's task force on community safety and security in the downtown. I have my deputy mayor that's been on the police department for 37 years, is chairing it for me. I brought experts and social service agencies, housing people, businesses to the table, and said, what do we need to do? What is your ideas? And that's part of the solution that we brought forward. So I'm sorry to go on.
No, that's fine. But I also know that there was news somewhere that the region is building, I think, 50 container houses up in north, somewhere up north.
So there was a proposal for 50 modular homes in Beaverton, Ontario. Beaverton has said that they do not want them in their community.
Really?
Yes. And so what we've had to do is, that was over a $10 million investment. What we've done is we've allocated those funds to other areas while we deal with Beaverton in regards to we believe it should be built there. So, but we're not stopping. We've added other units that have supported units around them. So we're not going to just stop because somebody says, not my backyard. There is a need for individuals that are suffering in our community. It's our responsibility as leaders to be able to make sure that we do everything we possibly can. Because here's the thing. If it was your child, you'd want me as your mayor to do everything I possibly could to save your child's life.
So is one of the problem the housing market, the housing situation?
It's a combination of a couple things. One is we've never seen the type of mental health issues that we've seen on the streets. And if you talk to mayors across this country, and I know you will, you're going to hear the same thing. They've never seen the complexities of the mental health crisis that this country is seeing. On top of that, you add fentanyl, you add an opiate to the issue, and the next thing you have just a recipe for disaster. What we believe, and what I believe, is you don't put 75 to 100 people together that have complex issues. You build 9 or 10 units with supported services on site, 24 hours a day, to help these individuals be able to not only get the services that they need, addiction, mental health, or life skills, to help them get stabilized, get them into the right programs, and hopefully move them into independence. But there's no fast way through this. You have to look at it and say, this is going to take a long time to be able to solve. We've got the technology, we've got the dollars, we've got the experts at the table. Let's get it done.
So COVID has really compounded the situation.
It has, because it's we've gone from streets that were packed to streets that are vacant. We have gone from places that were open for service, coffee shops, restaurants, all these kind of things. Our libraries, our community centers were closed. They had no place to go. So what happens is everybody has just tried to survive the best way we can. Where do I find shelter? How can I get fed? Where do I get, if it's a drug issue, how do I get what I need in regards to my addiction? If it's a mental health issue, there's not the help there to be able to deal with these complexities. But COVID has added a layer to it. If you talk to mayors in Kingston or Barrie, in Hamilton and Kenora, you're going to hear the same thing. The complexities of what we're seeing in the streets today, we've never seen before.
So for me, I look at the COVID situation and the state of the world with great optimism because, for example, in November, this climate summit is coming up in England, and it's going to do a lot to kind of reset society.
Yes.
And usher in a new paradigm, a new way for us to live. How is Oshawa positioning itself? I know there are a lot of development projects going on. There's a big mall going on, and there's some buildings here. Is there any movement in the city for smart homes, for example, for net zero emissions, which means getting a lot of cars off the street?
Well, you saw me pull up to your studios today, and I drive an electric car, 100% electric car, which I love, by the way. It's a Chevy Bolt, I have to say that. We're in a GM town, so I want to make everybody know that. So I love electric cars, and I love what they represent. We're seeing in the world 5% uptake on electric cars. Matter of fact, I think there's parts in Europe that electric cars are selling combustion engines, so I think that's a really interesting bit. But Sean, it also comes down to the same thing too, is what are we going to do about taking on climate change seriously? So it's not just about our buildings that we retrofit, look at energy savings, make sure that we promote electric vehicles, and make sure we have charging stations, but how do we also promote green space? How do we make sure that we have surfaces that are able to absorb water? How are we building culverts in our creeks and our creek beds? How are we looking after those kind of things? And I'm happy to say that at the City of Oshawa, we're undertaking our climate commitment in regards to our city. We have a commitment, of course, to be able to meet a 30% reduction by 2030 in regards to our levels of 1999. So we're moving in the right direction, but we still have a long way to go. We're looking at our fleet and finding out what vehicles could we go to in electric. There's some vehicles like snowplows, the technology's not there, where you have these massive snowplows that are electric. We don't have that on the market yet, but there's a lot of vehicles we can transition into electric vehicles. So you're looking at the glass we use in the buildings, looking at the green space, our roof space, our culverts, our creeks, and then on our developers, we're asking them to make sure that they take all these things into consideration. Matter of fact, one of the biggest complexes that we had in North Oshawa was a new retail location. And one of the things that I did over the last 3 years is I kept on sending the plans back and said, there's too much pavement here. I need more green space. I want bikes. I want shaded areas. I want an amphitheater where people can come and listen to people play instruments. Those are the kind of things that we have to get in regards to partnerships and to be able to kind of promote. But we can't sit on the sidelines and say somebody else will come up with it. I believe that the City of Oshawa, the great City of Oshawa, can be a leader and is a leader. We have to demonstrate it in our actions and not in our words, and we are committed to it.
Do you look at the situation as a mayor of a city? Do you look at the provincial situation, the national situation, and even the global situation? The reason I'm asking is because when the climate summit coming up, Mark Carney, who used to be the settlement governor of Canada, is kind of becoming the top leader in the world today. He's setting out the agenda for the future, I think. And he's talking about re-engineering how we look at society. For example, the values that businesses go after, the value that determines how a business operates,
Right.
which used to be economic. It used to be how much profit can I make.
Right.
And Marconi wants to change that into a new value, which is how my operation, even here, and yourself as a city council, and also businesses in Oshawa, how could we re-engineer the whole thing so that everybody's thinking climate, clean climate? Is that something Oshawa is going to move into, being automobile city for so long?
One of the biggest things that I was worried about is inequity. Inequity is something that is very dangerous if we don't take it seriously. I've had discussions for the past 5 years as first as a regional representative and now as mayor, discussions on the guaranteed income and talking about that, but also talking about that we need to have a conversation about inequity because that really goes to in regards to the principles that you're speaking about. Do we set the type of principles and the type of expectations both in business and society that really talk about changing our environment and changing the way we look at things? That's a hard conversation to have because people look at it as income distribution. I look at it as creating healthy, vibrant, prosperous communities. When somebody doesn't have to worry about paying the rent or eating properly or having enough money to take transit, we have an opportunity to be able to innovate and modernize and to be able to pivot and come up with new ideas. In our community, I want 175,000 people to feel fully engaged in regards to the issues that we're facing today. Mark Carney is a prime example. What he did here in Canada, then moved as the chapter in the UK and did a tremendous job. I'm glad that he's challenging all of us as leaders to be able to say, what are we doing locally in regards to addressing the issues that the world is addressing? And that comes down to is not only about our business practices, and you brought it up in your comments about saying, thinking about business and how we treat people and how we look at profit differently, that also opens up the opportunity to really look at then how do we operate as forward thinking when it comes to innovation, but how do we also address the issues that are going to impact the next generation, which I'm really glad because if you take the economics out of it and you talk about it being fair in all the things, then we're able to entertain things that are uncomfortable, that we haven't done before. Like climate change, believe it or not, there are individuals that truly believe that we're not in a climate emergency right now. And to me, when I see the storms and I see the weather changes, we're, just think about right now today, that you and I are in. This is in March. 2021, at 20 degrees right now, where we should be about 10 below right now. So climate change is going to play an important role. I'm also a grandfather, and I have to take those things. So when I look at things here locally, I think about it locally first. I think about 175,000 people. I also try to learn about what they're doing in the provinces across Canada, our country in general, but then I look at best practices around the world. I love seeing opposition about things that are difficult to talk about. We talked about the guaranteed income. There's a lot of people against us. Why?
Do you see guaranteed income happening?
I do. I really do. As a matter of fact, I've been pushing in regards to us undertaking the pilot in Durham region.
Wow.
And I think it would be worthwhile, a worthwhile exercise to be able to see it. The province canceled it a year into their new mandate, which really broke my heart because it was only about 6 months long, and we didn't get a fair opportunity to be able to see it. But the reality being is, if you'll allow me, an individual that's on Ontario Works in this center gets $750. So that's what they got for the whole $750.
Wow.
And by the way, if they go to work, and most of the precarious work, especially in entry-level jobs, not like the jobs you and I used to get when we were kids, where you could work somewhere and matter of fact, jobs were plenty. But service jobs are only getting 24 hours a week. So if you get $750 from Ontario Works and you're working 24 hours, you can't get both. So as you make more money, this benefit goes down. Well, the reality being is, either way, we're pushing people into poverty. What if we did this? What if we said, you can work 24 hours a day because of your skill set and your job, okay? What if we said, we're going to give you the $750 a month, but we're going to make sure that by the end of the month, you have $2,300 to live on. Now, all the data shows that by giving more money to individuals, they'll spend it within a 5-kilometer radius. That's number one. So it's good for the local economy.
Number two is indications from previous studies around the world show that healthcare costs go down, interactions with police go down, people end up seeing their children do better in school, they eat better, they sleep better, and they have the opportunity to be able to utilize the services here locally. So why not take an opportunity to say, let's try it? In Stanford, California, one of the youngest mayors in the United States implemented this program for 500 families, and they're doing an income support program for 500 families in California, and they're giving them, I think it's an extra $500 or $750 a month, and he's studying about what impact that will have over the next 5 years. Don't you think it's worth trying and seeing?
Well, it's one of the global agenda and sustainable development goals. One of the top, I think the top agenda is going to be basic income.
Yeah.
The critics of it and the opponents of it, of course, say, how can we afford it?
Right.
Is it affordable?
I believe it is. There's a great book by Evelyn Forget, I think it's called, and it's called The Guaranteed Income for Canada. It shows exactly when you take all the benefits that we now have, you take the guaranteed income, you look at what is a duplication of things, how we give people enough basic income to be able to do it, that Canadians can afford. We can afford to do it. And by the way, we did it through COVID-19, didn't we, with the benefits of the federal government. So the difference being in this is that through COVID-19, we haven't been able to do anything with the economy. You know this as an academic. You know that Canadians have saved more money than they've spent. Matter of fact, our debt ratio as Canadians has gone down, and our savings have gone up. So with a guaranteed income, when people are back to work, that's good for the economy. It stimulates the economy, gets more people out there, gets jobs, gets investment in our community. Again, I don't see an issue with us at least walking it out for a 5-year pilot program, understanding, learning what we learn out of it, and seeing how it changes people's lives.
Is this kind of conversation happening at the administration level?
It happens in my office. I don't know about somebody else's office. It's funny, I was doing a media interview the other day, and somebody asked me the same thing, and I said, this is an important subject matter that we should undertake. We've all just come through a historical moment where all of our families have been impacted. Everybody has been hurt financially. We better understand that there's a lot of Canadians that are hurting. How do we get ourselves back on track again? Why not have this conversation? So, yes, I'm having these conversations. I'm advocating at the regional level as a mayor of one of the largest cities in the GTA area. I believe that we're primed for a great pilot program. I'm urging the province to at least be a partner with us, and I'm trying to convince people that we would be a great test site. So I'm hoping that through advocating, lobbying, and then educating what I know about it, that maybe I'll be successful.
There are some, on Facebook, there are some reports every now and again that show that Oshawa is the best city for innovation, or Oshawa is the best city for startups and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
In my experience, that's not so.
Right.
I know Oshawa is good in terms of innovation. We have, for example, the AI hub, the college, a lot is going on, yes. But are you satisfied with how futuristic we are as a city?
No, I don't think we're there. I don't think we're pushing ourselves hard enough. I think that we have to implement programs both locally and regionally, and matter of fact, on the province side. I think we absolutely have to invest in being able to help, especially entrepreneurs, people with bright ideas. Think about this. We have 140 countries that are represented at our 2 universities at our college from all around the world. Brightest, best people in the world come here to be educated. Then they take all that knowledge and they go back home. And that's no good. We've got to find a way of being able to support those individuals. We've got to do a better job. We're not doing a great job right now. We can position ourselves and say, you know, we've got the Spark Center, we've got the AI stuff, and they do wonderful work. Absolutely. College, university, doing great things. But the reality being is we've got to do more. Because the reality being is if we don't get into that realm, we're not going to be successful. We're going to be following others. We've got to be at the head of the line. It's the same thing as about, you know, the autonomous track that's down at General Motors. The reason why that was such an important investment is because we're not talking about just the advancement of automobiles and electric automobiles or autonomous vehicles. It's about transportation and the transportation industry and how it's going to change. That gives us a chance to be able to have that conversation. But if we don't have the right environment where individuals, even like yourself, feel supported, that are financially supported through your discovery and your innovation and you exploring new ways of bringing new ideas together, then you know what? Somebody else is going to do it. And guess what? We're going to always be following people. We have to do better than what we're doing.
And what is disappointing for me, and I must say I'm not very happy with Spark and the performance of Spark. I'm a member of Spark because it's our startup technology. We're individual books. It's a problem that we've been staring at for over 10 years. Because it's a hard innovation to make.
It is.
How do you change the device of the book? And
Right.
we're working on it. But I made a decision years ago to stay in Oshawa.
Yeah.
Instead of going to say DMC at Ryerson or somewhere in Toronto. And I did work with Mars and stuff before.
Yeah.
But in Oshawa, that innovation, I think from my experience, this is my personal experience, wasn't there. The backup, the support, none of it was there. Which I understand, that it's a kind of the ecosystem is kind of not as...
Well, it's always, you know what it also is too, it's always the prettiest girl gets the most attention, right? And I mean, when I say the prettiest girl, it's always the idea that sparkles so much that everybody wants to be a part of it. And one of the ways that you have to understand is, just because you start here, it doesn't mean that's where you're going to end. So it may not look all that pretty when you start, but it's amazing that journey where it takes you and how it grows and grows and grows. So I just believe that we have to make sure that we have the right resources in the right place, and we have to have the right supporting elements. You know, I always look at it as almost like when I'm in recovery as an addict. When I have the right supporting elements around me, I have a successful recovery through my addiction. When I don't do those things, and when I don't have those supporting elements, I'm not successful. And so that's the same in business.
Yeah, I see. So I think we need to position the city, and I see this as just talking.
Yeah.
Not that I'm in office or
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah.
But I can put my voice out there, which I'm starting to do now, which I haven't done before. We need to do two things. We need to solve the social situation of Oshawa.
Yeah.
And the second thing we need to do is we need to position the city, because of our history, and maybe I'll go into that a little bit, to be a futuristic city that really have the ordinary man in the street involved in the innovation process. Not only the elite or the ones who are, big up there, but the average man in the street who has an idea. Human resources is the most important thing in society.
Right.
Human resources of ideas and thinking and creativity.
Yeah.
How do we position the city and the institutions in the city, including the city council, to be friendly towards anyone coming up with an idea and say, hey, at least let's see if we can take it to the next level.
I think our teaching cities, when we implemented that and working with the university, it was our first attempt at making sure that everybody's ideas and concepts were given a fair opportunity to be able to hear what was going on. I think that program needs to continue to evolve, and I think that creates a welcoming environment. I think it has to come down to leadership. I think we have to demonstrate that we may not understand it, we may not really be able to kind of grasp it, but what we need to be able to do is change our mind in regards to being more open in regards to ideas. In government, as you know, we play it safe because of the reason that everybody wants transparency and accountability. So when you start thinking big and bold, that's really scary when it comes to public funds and how to, you're not being, I want these things. These are more important than anything else. I think it takes different types of leadership at different times to be able to bring different ideas together. But I just believe that we have to set the environment that welcomes those type of concepts and ideas. I think we also have to have higher expectations of ourselves. I think we need to push ourselves. You're a prime example. You had an opportunity to be able to take your vast amount of education and innovation anywhere. You decided to come here. You decided to come here because there were certain elements about it that you believe could truly be able to invite new opportunities and be able to invite new ideas. What we need to try to do is understand that we come from a traditional industrial town that is evolving into a knowledge-based, innovative, forward-thinking, modern city. And for a lot of traditionalists, that's uncomfortable. Like, I know I have roast beef and I have potatoes and I have carrots.
So we have
Yeah.
I found this kind of conversation hard to have with people.
Yeah, no, it is because it's uncomfortable because people go, this is familiar, I know what this is, but what you're talking about, I have no idea what that is. So we'll just stay over here where it's nice and safe.
So here's the thing, here's what I love about Russia. What happened in 1918, 100 years ago,
Yeah,
when the Spanish war, whatever it was called, ravaged society.
yeah,
What we found was, at the center of Russia
yeah,
was a factory, well, close to the center,
Yeah.
producing buggies for carts,
Yeah.
for horses.
yeah,
That was the transportation mode. And overnight, there was a change from that to the motor vehicle. When McLaughlin brought in Ford's engine and put it in a car.
yeah.
And that happened overnight, and the city was ready for it. And 100 years ago, Oshawa became from an agricultural town a futuristic innovation city.
Yeah.
What is stopping us now?
Nothing's stopping
We
us.
have that history.
Yeah, we do. And I always talk to people about our history, and I'll tell you what I tell them about it. Is because in many circumstances, I like to remind people of the many strides that we faced over the last 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
You think about the last 100 years, and you think about how innovation also is changed, right? So as innovation happens, in some circumstances, job growth goes up, and in some circumstances, job growth goes down. If you just take the auto assembly aspect of it, you know that as innovation started to grow, and the traditional way of building cars changed dramatically, which then saw less hands and more machines. But at the same time, we were innovating. We are a city, and I don't know if you know this, but it was our frontline assembly workers that figured out how to split a truck in half, send it in two different directions, and bring it back together again so that it could be efficiently put together and painted. This was innovation that they've never seen before. We are the first auto assembly line that we could run different chassis down the same line. That doesn't happen in other places. So we know that those innovations live here, and we know that when we give people the space and we give them the challenge, we can actually do it. I think what we have to do is, again, I think that we have to think about not only the history that we have lived, but think about the history that awaits us in front of us, and really say to ourselves, where do we want to be? And understand what are the assets that we have. Do you know that we have world-class healthcare here? Our cancer center here is recognized as probably number 1 or number 2 in cancer care in all of Canada. The care that you get here. So you think about, we just came out of COVID, you think about home care and nursing and the innovation when it comes to healthcare. You think about where healthcare needs to come. We live in that world. We've got the e-learning lab at Lakeridge. We have the nursing program up at Durham College. We have an engineering program that comes together and thinks about it. We have an opportunity to create the new healthcare campuses that talks about a whole round of how do we treat the next generation of healthcare issues that we're going to face. I mean, that's what awaits us. We've done it before, from buggy to car, from man putting things together to automation coming out.
Yeah.
We've got it within us.
Yeah.
So what we do is we look at the assets that we have here and say, that's why I say with General Motors, it's not just about the assembly line, it's about what awaits us in the transportation business. How's that going to change? Like, one of the things that I don't know if you've had a chance to be able to have a conversation on yet. So we talk about electric cars. So I got an electric car. So I have computers on my car because of the reason it's an electric car, right? So in the summer, it gets pretty hot, doesn't it? And very humid. So imagine now, you've got computers running an autonomous car. It's electric. Imagine the amount of heat it's going to generate. How do you cool it? How do you cool it so it doesn't overheat so that the computers don't crash? Because think about all the information that they're going to be gathering as an autonomous vehicle. Those are the kind of conversations that are happening here right now.
Okay.
This is exciting. We've got a program up at Ontario Tech University where they're actually undertaking this right now. And they're trying to figure out how do we be able to take this new technology and how do we come up with the solutions that can stop this project in its tracks. We here in Oshawa, Ontario are working on those solutions right now.
And even as we're working on those solutions, if I may go back to the social situation, because there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance. You don't have with equality that you mentioned, right? You don't have an elite doing well, and then a whole slew of people suffering. For example, they were like Christine, my friend Christine, who was working on the tiny housing initiative. She found it so hard to get councils to listen to her, or anybody in power, I guess. I know you had a meeting with her, right?
But it wasn't unsuccessful. It wasn't unsuccessful.
I keep telling her.
And I'll tell you why it wasn't unsuccessful. Because she introduced us to an idea that didn't fit within our zoning bylaws or our building code, both by the CDO, which he's designated under the Chief Operating Building Officer's code and legislation that the province has. The fire department he has to answer to also. But she brought an idea to the table. So what did we do with that idea? No, we couldn't do that. But why are we building modular homes now? Why do we have container homes that we're doing now?
So what is the roadblock in, for example, to ease up the homeless situation in Northern Oshawa or even our region, even the province maybe? What is stopping Oshawa from innovating a solution whereby we even reduce the development costs of putting together a house?
When it comes to nonprofit housing, we do that. We do all of those things that you speak about in regards to putting financial incentives in place. What I'm pleased about is just recently we were able to look at the zoning and also the requirements in regards to both modular homes and micro homes. We had to make sure, and we still have to do this, that water and sewer is a part of every project. So we've taken that, but it was an introduction of here's an idea. Yeah, that doesn't work because here are the set of rules as a government, and by the way, it's not us. It's the government of Ontario that sets out these legislations that we have to follow under the building code and under the fire code. But what we did do is we looked at the idea, looked at best practices around the world. I went to Las Vegas to be able to see the container village in downtown Las Vegas, old Las Vegas. And at the time, Tony Shea, that was alive at the time, he invited us to be able to see the project that he was doing in Old Vegas. And I learned about how micro homes could actually work both in a retail or commercial application or in a residential application. And those are the kind of things that help us springboard from an idea somebody brings forward to challenging leaders like myself to say, this is important, this is an idea, what are you going to do with it? That's not going to work, but here's something that could. And that's what it is. It's like when you come across a problem in your business, you sit there and you go, okay, so it's about a process of elimination. That won't work, this won't work, that won't work, or that'll work. It may not be what your production assistant says, hey, you should do this. It may be a little bit of that, and your idea is about saying, okay, no, that's not going to work because here are the limitations that put on us. I don't want ever to eliminate people from coming up with good ideas. And I meet with people all the time that have really crazy ideas. But always in people that think big, there's always an element of what they're saying that has great value. And it's about listening to their ideas. If you don't do that, then you're doing harm to yourself. Now, looking at the issue in regards to housing and making sure that people are unsheltered, here's my policy. My policy is that I want no one sleeping in a tent, in a bush, I don't want them on our trails, and I don't want them in a stairway. I want to make sure that every single one of those people have a bed. And as I speak right now, anybody that wants a bed, we can provide that. We made sure that we invested in housing, supportive services, and in shelters, outreach programs, hospital programs, addiction programs, and we haven't stopped, and we will continue to do it.
But yet there is a public park, Memorial Park, right outside of City Hall.
Right.
And when I drive around that area, John Street,
right across from the men's shelter.
there are a whole bunch watching people on the street.
Right.
Women too, right?
Yeah.
Not only the cornerstone,
Yeah.
but women as well.
Yeah.
And the park is, you know, the park is. There's a lot of residents in the city gave up on the park.
Right, so what we've done is under the mayor's task force on under community safety and well-being is, one is, we've hired a head of security that is a corporate security person. We've done an evaluation of our security environment to see where our gaps are. We've just introduced, and you'll see it in the news, matter of fact, in the next couple of weeks, about a CCTV camera program that is going to help in regards to our public green spaces. We've increased our police presence in regards to our foot patrols. Instead of car patrols, foot
Yeah, I
patrols.
was driving yesterday, I saw two police that.
Right, so we're doing more foot patrols, so that's good. We're increasing our security presence so that people see that there's. We've also, as I said in the early part of the show, as I talked about those that are doing criminal behaviors, we're holding them accountable. We're doing outreach to be able to make sure individuals have a place throughout the day to go to and be fed and get the services that they need, but at nighttime to be in a safe environment. It's going to be a constant investment, and it's going to be a constant issue that we're going to be facing day after day. There's no easy solution because there is individuals, and there are about 40 of them in our city, that will not take any of our help.
Yeah,
So
so
that-
there is
that's-
that. There
right.
is that. We're just like
Right, they're just, they don't, because of, understand something, some of these individuals come from very broken backgrounds. So trust to them is very difficult. There's a great organization in Toronto called DeHafta. It's a Jewish organization that has been doing outreach in the streets of Toronto for 25 years. I went to speak at one of their conferences one night, and they told me about a story of how they made contact with an individual that was living in the Bloor Viaduct area in a tent for 9 years.
9 years.
And every night they would go visit him. And every night they'd bring him something to eat, they'd check on him, see if he's okay. Sometimes they had to take him to the hospital because he was sick, everything else. It took them 9 years to build up enough trust that finally in the 9th year, he accepted their help having housing. Took them 9 years.
So Canada, my perception of Canada, and I think a lot of people, is a place of good conscience, a place of compassion, a place of kindness. That's the role we play in the world.
I hope.
We're a peacemaker, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, I firmly believe that Canada is the good conscience of the world.
Yes.
Not only the country, but definitely your thing of rule. How do we replicate that for citizens? For anybody falling through the crack?
Well, I think it's,
The opioid crisis.
right. So one of the things that I undertook in December of 2018 is I brought all our faith communities together. Brought 55 faith communities together, and I sat down and said, we need to have a conversation. You have large congregations. These are the social issues that are facing our city, and I need us to have a conversation in your congregations and as a community. You have great influence as faith leaders, and I need you to be able to have this conversation with your congregation. Because a lot of people don't understand about addiction. They don't understand about the overdose. They don't understand why people are sleeping on the streets. They don't understand why people go hungry. They don't understand why are people living in poverty? Because they don't live in that. One of the things I found when I was living on the streets and suffering with addiction as a practicing addict is people would say, why don't you just quit?
Yeah.
Right? And it's not that they just understand that all you do is you just put it down and that's it, you're done, you're okay. Addiction is an illness, it's a very severe illness that changes the brain chemistry in your brain, and therefore what happens is you are just as sick as many other individuals that are facing other things that are very familiar to us. And what we have to understand is we have to not only educate people about what we're facing and why is somebody homeless, why are they got a mental health, why are they addicted to these drugs, and then what is it that you need to understand about it? Because once people see that, what happens is compassion comes naturally to Canadians. You know,
Yes.
it comes naturally. But what happens is we can't ask them to be compassionate about something that they may not be aware of. They may not understand it. They may not understand the complexities. I've traveled into a lot of the churches to talk about not only my own journey, but talk about the journey that our city is facing with these individuals. And people went, so opiates are that bad? I said, with the opiate crisis we have now, there are individuals that, as they go through withdrawal, will die because the system just can't handle it. It's one of the most painful experiences that an individual can go through. Very bad. Very bad. I remind myself all the time what that was like. And it was horrific. So the way I look at it is, as somebody with a lived experience, and somebody that's looked upon as a leader, and somebody that is the mayor right now of this great city, it's my job to be able to take my experiences and share them with others so that they're better informed. And once they're informed, they can see, oh, that's what we can do. And that was one of the ways that I opened the door up. We've never done that before. We've never had 50 faith communities come together as leaders and just say, okay, so why do you want us to come together? I tried it when I was a regional councilor, and I couldn't get 6 churches. When I became mayor, I suddenly had 50 of them come. But that's about the power of the office and utilizing the power of the office to call people to serve. But I had to do all of those things to make sure that people understood what addiction, what mental health looks like, why are people homeless, why won't they take our help? You know, there's individuals that said, well, I tried to help somebody and they told me to F off. And it was like, to them, they went, I was just trying to help them. They said, you have to understand something. They come from a world that trust has been broken. They don't know you. They live in a world where they think you might be taking something from them. So they protect everything that they have. So you have to understand it takes a while for them to understand it. The difference between, I used to say to people when I was living on the streets, the difference between a good day and a bad day was when somebody looked me in the eye and said hi.
Really?
Yeah. Hi.
Wow.
Because when you live in those conditions, nobody wants to say hi to you. Nobody wants to make eye contact with you. Because you smell bad, you look bad, you act bad. You're probably going to ask them for something, right? And people don't want, so they walk across to the other side of the street. So part of my job is to be able to educate people about what that world looks like.
Can I ask you a hard question?
You can ask me as many hard questions as you want.
25 years ago,
Yeah.
Markham was not what it is today.
Yeah.
Oshawa, it was what it is today, except for some big buildings.
Yeah.
What's the difference in Markham becoming what it is today, so futuristic, so well developed, and Oshawa? When Oshawa had the experience of going through 100 years ago, becoming the premier city in Ontario, really.
I think there's a couple things. I think one is Markham, as you referred to, was an agricultural community, as you know. I grew up in Agincourt, so Markham was north of where I live. And so I was very familiar with Markham, so I knew that. The next thing is that I think it was about the leadership at that particular time, how they saw their city. I think, and this is not a criticism of those that have served before, I'm just going to say that this is my interpretation.
Yeah, we have a conversation.
So my interpretation is, sometimes we live on our laurels. So in other words, we've got good things, you know, we've got 30,000 people working in the automobile business. Alright, everything's good, everything's gold. There's a great book that John Maxwell wrote, which is called Talent is Never Enough. And he talks about, and I'll use the example, he says, Mike Tyson was born with great talent. And then he said, then you take somebody else, you know, that doesn't have the same talent, but works at it really, really hard every single day. But Mike Tyson is the guy that has natural talent. He doesn't really work at it. Kind of takes it for granted. And what happens is, this person that's hungry and that can see forward and that is deeply committed in regards to the future gets better and better and better. And sooner or later, he now passes this very talent plus person. And it's the same thing that I think that we faced here. We have a lot of great things going on. We have the automobile industry, automobile assembly, we had parts places, we had everything. And I think what happened is that got very comfortable. You know, where success lives is where you have to get really uncomfortable.
Yes.
So you always have to challenge yourself, and you always have to say, things are good right now, but how can they be better tomorrow?
Do you see us moving in that direction?
I hope so, and I hope that the leadership that I bring to the city also desires it. I hope that my council understands that I have different expectations of our city than maybe they do. And my expectation of our city is that it doesn't matter where we are today. I believe that our future is always brighter the next day. And I want to push people. One of the things that I brought to government that we've been working on, it's been a hard transition. You have people working in government, bureaucratic, right? 35 years, we've always done it this way. We're always going to do it this way. Well, one of the things that I've asked our team to embrace is the model service excellence in everything that we do. I've said to our team, we've got to stop being a bureaucratic organization and a customer service organization. That's really hard for people that have been doing things 30 years. It's hard for them to see why this would play an important role. And I think that, you know, as a leader, I think that you're not able, if I've learned anything out of this job, is I wanted to get everything done in the first 100 days. And what I realized is I'm one vote. I'm one vote. There's a difference between a Canadian mayor and a United States mayor. You don't have political power over these individuals. Everybody's an individual. So the job is about bringing people together with a collective vision for the city, and that takes a period of time to do. But you have to set the example, you have to set the tone. And with some people in my circumstance with our council, we have people that are back on our council that have served for 30 years. So they bring those ideas from 1970, 1980, and 1990 to the table in 2021. And that's hard. That's hard because now you're saying to them, they don't understand, in some circumstances, people say, why do bike lanes matter? And you go, because that's the kind of city we want to build. We want green spaces, we want bike lanes, we want it to be a place where people are active out in the streets and coffee shops are outside and people are having social interactions. That's what a healthy, vibrant community is. No, we need more parking. And I'm kind of no. But those are the kind of things you have to work through that, and that's what leadership is all about.
So COVID has shown how hard it is for we have like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But COVID has shown how hard Oshawa, well, globally, but especially Oshawa, how hard it is to transition from that old traditional way of thinking to a futuristic way of looking at society.
Yeah.
Now, do you see this city being positioned in a way that the leadership, but not only the leadership, the residents as well, but the leaders leading the residents into seeing a new way, a new future, a new path?
Well, I think doing things like this, I think having a conversation and saying, what do we need to do different? I see our city differently. You as the leader of this city, what are you going to do? How are you going to be able to do it? So I'll be honest with you. It's taken, I met with a whole bunch of CEOs when I became the CEO of Washington. And I said, by the way, how long does it take before you get comfortable? And they said, about 2.5 years. Well, it takes time, right?
By then it's doing that.
And by then it's almost the elections. But the reality is if you're going to do anything, do it right, it's going to take time. And I can say with confidence that I sit here today, I think better equipped and better balanced than I was 2 years ago.
Right.
And I think that just comes through doing the job and facing it. One of the best books that I read just recently is Barack Obama's autobiography that he speaks about, you know, the promises, which is the title of his book. And he says his job was always about spinning plates, and that's what my job is. It's always about spinning plates, because nobody walks into my office with good news. Everybody walks into my office with bad news. So it's what you do with those things. So I think conversations like this are really important to be able to undertake. I think it's important that individuals like yourself ask hard questions and demand the most out of us as leaders. Because of the reason that, especially in a smaller market like Oshawa, where we don't have a lot of media presence, right? It's really important that questions are asked and accountability is held of leaders like myself. Because if we don't, there is no deep desire for us to get better at things. And I want us to get really good at this.
So you're one, always, you've been accommodating, you've been open, and you're accessible as a leader. A lot of people are not. A lot of people get caught up in the bureaucracy and the position and the pride and the arrogance, and they're not reachable from ordinary citizens like myself to ask those questions of. And the other thing is, Mayor Carter, is we've seen not only in Oshawa, but every year, which to me is a huge tragedy, decline of local community media. We've seen a decline of that. Even our magazine, because of COVID, understandably, we can't print anymore, so we're going digital, and this whole live streaming thing we have to set up. But I'm setting out to play a role in whatever little way that I can
Right.
by providing a platform for a voice. And I thank you that you can come on board and you can be open and we can have this conversation. Hopefully we can do this every single week.
Yeah.
And let's reach out, let's get your ideas, your thinking, your vision out to the community. And by that, because I don't know how you operate with the local media.
Oh, it's difficult, and one of the things that I have agreed to do is the 12-star under the new net ownership that they have. They reached out to me and said, because of my background, I said,
That was a nice story.
yeah, but I said to them, they said to me, we'd like to get your opinion in regards to what local media needs to do. And I said, absolutely, I'll share with you what I think, because I really do think it's important. You know, this is just my opinion. We have seen in the prior 4 years south of the border what happens when somebody doesn't allow the media to actually do their job, and that doesn't create a healthy community. You know, one of the things about being a leader is you have to be humble to know that you don't have all the answers and you need others to be able to come to the table or be with you. But that also comes down to is how do you conduct yourself as a leader? I never introduced myself as Mayor Dan Carter. I always introduced myself as Dan. Dan Carter. That's who I am. And people go, oh, Mr. Mayor, your worship. I go, I'm Dan. When I go into the hospitals or I go into long-term care facilities, when I meet people at the shopping center, I always say, hi, my name's Dan. And they go, yeah, we know who you are, you're the mayor. I go, I'm Dan. Because that's who I am, first and foremost. This position is not about power, position, or prestige. This is about public service. If you ever forget that you've been given the greatest honor of your life, which is people walked into a booth, put an X beside your name, folded it up, and put it into a ballot box. If you ever forget that, you shouldn't serve. And that's the way I approach my job. And you know what? The first 2.5 years, have challenged me on every aspect, my personal life, my professional life, being able to find balance. Through COVID, I've lost friends, and that's been difficult to deal with. But one of the things that I hope is by the end of my term, and if I'm fortunate enough to be reelected, I hope that people recognize that I enter this job trying to do the right things for the right reasons at the right time.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I'm a grandfather now. I have a grandson 8, grandson 6, and I have a granddaughter 3. I never want them to be
So the
ashamed.
future is important.
Yeah, and I never want them to be ashamed of their grandfather.
Wow, that is huge.
And I keep that in mind.
That is huge. So we'll have a conversation every week
Okay.
for as long as we can go.
Yeah.
And let's
I mean, we're run out of things to say.
we'll have a conversation about the future of our show.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
where we're landing. The name of the company on which we do this is Future Stars Media Enterprise.
Beautiful.
So everything that I do here, on the live streaming, everything that I want to put out in the public is about how do we create a kind of future that we know is possible and that we all want to make happen. We're not dealing with the past anymore. We're not dealing with present situations, what's going on. We're dealing with how can we position Oshawa, the city, for the future, for the new future that is emerging out of the climate summit, out of the sustainable development goals, out of the Great Reset, which a lot of people criticize, but society is moving, and let's be on board. I thank you so much.
It's great to be here with you, and I enjoyed our conversation because it was a conversation.
Yes.
And I love that aspect of it. So I look forward to the next opportunity to sit with you and chat with you. And I really appreciate the opportunity that you're giving me also. So all the best.
Join us next Thursday at 5 o'clock for another conversation with Mayor Dan Carter from Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. Thank you. Take care. See you again soon.